Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Technology Evangelist podcast. I'm Dr. John Fluke, Technology Evangelist. We are brought to you by Medidenta. They are a great company. They make and sell some great things. Check them out at medidenta.com. And of course, the ever-present podcast request. Like, subscribe, comment. It helps us on that algorithm, which is more important almost than anything else in our lives nowadays. But with that, I've got a great guest today. Dentistry is stressful. We all know that. We live, I've told patients for years, I said, do you know how big a millimeter is? And most people will go, no. And I say, it's tiny. And I live in a world where a millimeter is a huge difference. A millimeter means the difference between sometimes success and failure. And we put a lot on ourselves. And I think sometimes we take for granted how much we do put on ourselves. But my guest today is somebody that has a message for you about attitude, how important it is to keep things in perspective. So without further ado, Dr. Alan Stern, thank you so much for joining me today.
John, thanks for the ask. I'm delighted to be here and delighted to not only do this, but to cultivate a friendship that I know is going to last a long time. Is going to be a very, very happy one.
Yeah, well, and I always start off with the origin story, Alan, and you and I have talked a little bit, and I know some about you, but get in the Wayback Machine, take me back as far as you want to, and tell me, how did you get to where you are right now?
Oh man, that's a story, and
We got plenty of time.
Well, I've got 6 dozen years to sum up here, almost 6 dozen and one. But I graduated Medical College of Virginia Dental School in 1981 after, I would say, a fairly tumultuous childhood and adolescence. And I went through all of the things that dental students go through. All of those embellished stories were pretty much my story. Came out with a degree, and I thought I had it made in the shade. Wouldn't have to worry about business, wouldn't have to worry about getting patients, just graduate, do a residency, hang out your shingle, and wham, made in the shade, get in your sailboat at age 45 and go off into the sunset.
Yep, the money machine fires up the minute they hand you the diploma, and it's printing dollar bills so fast you don't know what to do with them.
That's right. And, much to my surprise, the rules of the game changed just as I graduated dental school. And all of a sudden, the profession was turned into an industry. Mm-hmm. And through a process, and we'll talk about this a little later, the dirtiest word in the English language was born. Now, I'm from New Jersey. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Provider.
Bingo.
So we have turned into merchants, salesmen, peddlers, and hacks for corporations. And, I had a private practice. I worked for a private practice and opened my own. In that regard, I was fortunate. But I had a constant poor self-image, self-efficacy, and I tried and tried and tried, couldn't hit that clinical pinnacle or that financial benchmark that I needed, that everybody else had, right? You go to a dental society meeting, first year in practice as an associate, I hear these guys who were my age then say, oh, well, I did 12 full mouth rehabilitations in 3 days, and I don't know what to do with myself in the next 4. My wife's 12-carat diamond ring isn't big enough, and the car's out of gas, I got to throw it away, and so on and so on. And then I went to these courses, and I see guys, Frank Spear, John Coyce, Jerry Cheech, all the big boys, and they're putting up stuff that's incredible. And I feel like this. Mm-hmm. I can't do that. Went through the Pankey Continuum. It made me the person I am today. But I couldn't get the clinical mastery. And I sank into, I discovered a disease. I deserve the Nobel Prize for Medicine for this discovery, John. I discovered a disease called PMD. Now, you treat TMD in your office, I'm sure.
Right.
Perpetually miserable dentist.
It is an undiagnosed term, but it is epidemic, my friend.
Yes, and John, you need your guys to just figure out a code for that. Because the psychologists of the world would make a fortune.
They would.
Yeah. And I sank and I sank and I sank. So I hired the big boys' financial advisor to make me rich like the big boys. Mm-hmm. I hired the big boys' marketing dude to make me famous like the big boys. I had a live radio spot every Tuesday morning on 94.3 The Point. I had a mic in my hand and I was famous, let me tell you. And of course, to become a big boy, I bought a big house. Mm-hmm. And I finally traded in the Honda for the Lexus. Perfect storm. Perfect storm. I tried to pretend I was something that I wasn't. And I sank into a financial wormhole and an emotional wormhole. But you know, we can talk about this more, and I talked about adversity being your friend. Mm-hmm. All of those things, including having to sell my house under duress to get out of this mess. I found the right financial advisor who told me, hey, Alan, sell your house. I said, what? But I did, and I was miserable until cash started flowing again. And I started to realize some truths. And people talk to me, John. Dentists like to talk to me. What a blessing. And I learned that even the big boys have big problems. And I learned as well that my problems are mine and I wouldn't have them unless I could handle them. And I accumulated all this knowledge and all this experience, not just in dentistry, but in people. And when my financial advisor told me that I can live on what I had saved, thanks to the stock market, the real estate market, a little bit of luck,
Right.
and some real diligence. We had to really rein it in. I realized that I have something that can help other dentists. And I told you the story, and please, redirect me if I'm going in a crazy direction. But
no, this is terrific.
when my friend Andrea Bierman, who was a 34-year-old brilliant dentist, everybody wanted to be like Andrea. Andrea walked into a room, the room stopped. Yeah. And people would go to Andrea. She was attractive in every sense of the word. Everybody wanted to see her, have her practice. She took her own life at age 34. And when my good friend Jim Otten and I went to the Pankey Alumni Association with a short program on depression and suicide in dentistry, and 4 people, the Pankey Alumni Association, came up to us and thanked us, 4 of the most overachieving dental practitioners in the world, I found a calling. I found a calling.
Well, and it's so important, Alan. We spend so much of our time and our lives measuring against things, and it's kind of funny. One of my favorite lines from a movie is Caddyshack, which is, I'm dating myself because that's an 80s, late 70s, early 80s.
Right there with you.
But there's a great scene where Chevy Chase is in the locker room after a round of golf, and the Judge Smales, the character, walks up and he says, "What'd you shoot today?" And Chevy says, "Oh, yeah, I don't keep score." And the judge looks at him and he goes, "Well, how do you measure yourself against all the other golfers?" And he goes, "By height." And I love that because it's like you can't. There's always going to be somebody better than you are. Yeah. There's always going to be somebody smarter than you are. And nowadays, if you look at any kind of social media platform at all, there's always going to be a lot of people happier
Yeah.
than you are. And then it becomes, why don't I measure up? Why don't I have that? If I just had the Corvette, that'll do it.
Yeah.
And then, you go on the hook for that. And the dopamine buzz lasts a weekend, and then you're like, okay, my wife needs a Porsche, and then the dopamine buzz lasts a weekend, and you need the next and the next. And I think one of the things that happens is, I'll use the analogy of a train ride. Everybody is going to the same place, but we keep thinking the next stop, that's where it's going to be. That's where I'm going to be happy. And then they get to that next stop and look out and they go, not as happy as it looked. Okay, the next stop. They never look out the window. All they're thinking about is the next whatever it is. Yeah. And then I think it was Queen Victoria who looked up from her deathbed and said, all that I own for just more time. Because they never looked out the window. And anyway, so.
Yeah. One of the things, one of my pivotal moments was after I sold my house and I moved into a townhouse. And I'm pretty sure I was the only person in that townhouse complex with letters after his name.
Right.
It was an okay neighborhood, but it was a middle class neighborhood. What's wrong with that? Nothing. But that's besides the point. I drove past the old house on the way to work a million times, crying. One Sunday morning, I went running. I practiced on the Jersey Shore.
Okay.
Beautiful area, especially when the weather's nice. And I was running on the Belmar Boardwalk, and I remember exactly where I was. I was running north. I looked to my right, took a whiff of the ocean, and this thought flashed through my head. And I said to myself, you, no matter how much or how little you may think you have, Alan, you have more than most people in the world could imagine having.
Yep.
And you have less than some. So what?
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, you're not Jerry Cheech, you're not Leanne Brady, you're not Spear or Coyce. And it's not that you're worse than them. You take a little bit of them and put it into your repertoire, Alan, and you're better because of them. My wife and I will be married 49 years in August.
Wow.
5 of the best years of her life were spent with me. That's right. And I said, we have 2 children. My wife and I are an infertile couple.
Okay.
We have 2 medical miracles of children and now a grandson. So I'm married X number of decades. I've got 2 great kids. I've got a circle of friends that can't be beat.
Right.
And I said to myself, would you please enjoy the ride? Hence the book.
Bingo. Bingo.
How about that for a self-serving plug?
Nothing wrong with that.
There you go.
Enjoy the ride is
available on Amazon, folks.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I love that. I reached out to you just so everybody knows. One of my best friends in the whole world is Dr. Paul Feuerstein, who's the chief editor of Dentistry Today. And I get emails from Dentistry Today routinely. Hey, look at this, look at this. And you had done an article. And I read it, and I was just like, wow. It's not about a clinical tip. It was not about a financial tip. It was more on a tip on how to treat people better, mm-hmm. and how to make your patients feel better. And I want to say this too, because it's the Technology Evangelist podcast, and I love tech. I always have. But the thing that I love about it the most is that by introducing things into my practice that allow me to do things either at the same quality or better, with less stress and financially flow, those are kind of the three things I gauge it against. But the big thing for me is the time, because the time for me isn't about squeezing one more two surface composite into the schedule. It's like I get 10 more minutes that I can talk to my patients, because this is a relationship business.
Yes.
And I'm really excited about things like AI that are coming out now, because rather than people in the office on the phones with, insurance verification or typing notes or whatever, they can spend the time with the people. And your little piece in Dentistry Today was really about, listening to the people and treating them with respect. And that, number one, I really feel like that's why we're here. We're here to take care of each other.
Yes.
But oftentimes people are, oh, I've got those 2 crowns in Op 3. No, actually, those 2 crowns are attached to Susan Jones, who, is 52 years old. She's got a 20-year-old daughter who just had twins. That's the important stuff.
And I think, John, that point is critical now. It's not the article I think you're talking about is kindness is not optional.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's my latest one from Paul. But I think the difference between a dreadful Monday morning and drudgery of a practice, and I'm working on a program now about burnout toward young dentists.
Yep.
The difference is understanding that this is about changing people's lives. The stupidest occlusal composite or the biggest full mouth rehab changes a person's life, whether they realize it or not.
Yes.
And our job, and I'm sorry, I don't like case acceptance. I don't like that word. It's a collaborative agreement that you get to create when you connect with a human being, when you get knee to knee, eye to eye with them. And by the way, do you know what your 2 most important dental instruments are, Mr. Tech Evangelist?
I do not, but I'll bet you'll tell me, so please do.
They're right here. And in my case, what little is left in between them, right?
Yeah.
If we can just take a breath and listen to that human being who is going to put him or herself in an extremely vulnerable position, while we spin these formidable instruments, hurl debris all over them, and make them pay for it?
Yeah.
But they gotta wanna do it. And if they feel warmly welcome and comfortable in your presence, and you have taken the time to earn that trust, is everything going to go perfect? No. But the chances of you hearing, "Doctor, my tooth didn't hurt until you drilled it," or "You talked me into this, Dr. Fluky,"
Yep.
that rarely happens when you put those systems into place, when you just take time.
Well, and it goes back to the old expression, and I don't know who said it, but it's been around forever, which is people don't care how much you know, but they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, and especially for the younger doctors. Some of them are in environments where they're working in an environment they're not the owner, and it's you're taking too long, you're talking too much, your production isn't where it should be, those kind of things. I don't know. I've just always kind of figured that the best practice management philosophy is treat people like you want to be treated. Rule number 1, be nice. Rule number 2, show respect. You don't need a rule number 3 if you do those things, because if people trust you, they trust your opinions.
Yes.
I mean, Okay, so you go to the garage and your car is fine. You know, you're going for an oil change. And they call you, and the guy that checked you in, whom you don't know, says, you need brakes, you need this, you need this. It's going to be $2,000. How much of it do you want to do, or cash, check, or charge? And everybody, I think, says, well, wait a minute. Nothing seemed wrong with it. The brakes seemed to be fine. Now, I'm not an expert, so maybe there is something. But I think the problem in that equation is that if it was the same guy, every time you went in, it was the same service advisor, and on your fourth appointment, he says, hey, you need brakes. I'm like, okay. Or if when you went in, he gave you the checklist, and here's what you ought to do at 40,000 miles, but you know what? Don't do this one and don't do this one. Just these two are the important ones. That builds that trust.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
You have to have that.
Yes.
And if you don't have it, you will be miserable. You have to be miserable, and the people coming into your office are not going to be happy to see you. And John, I think I've lived long enough to know that there are some things where there's no salary or no fee high enough. And a toxic environment, or patients who don't like you, where you're scared to death to face them, it's just not healthy.
No, and from a team standpoint, you know, if they come to work every day and they're just waiting for, you know, 95% of the time nobody says anything to me, but the other 5% of the time the doctor's berating me because I'm inept, or, you know, I handed the wrong thing. They never hear what's good. They only hear what's bad.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we believe what we're told, especially if we're told it a lot. So if the only time somebody hears feedback from you and it's negative, you know, that, you know, and the other thing is emotionally, especially if you're a patient, because you're not locked into anything but the experience.
Yeah.
They sense that. They sense there's some stress here. I sense the dental assistant isn't happy. Either the dental assistant's nervous. The dental assistant is hesitant. I wonder what's going on. I wonder what's going on.
You know, I've had, I can't tell you how many times I hear this. I have clients coming to me who have been openly berated by their owner dentist in front of team, in front of patients. I had two beautiful, brilliant women dentists call me up in hysterics that their doctor is remote checking all of their work, all of their x-rays, coming into the office, dragging the patient in, saying, Dr. X did this all wrong, she's going to do it again. Are you kidding me? And these unfortunate women were contractually bound to stay there for 60 days.
Wow.
Guess what I did every day for 60 days? Every night.
Yep. Yeah.
And you know, you see it in teams also. You also see teams doing it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so, it's hard, but it's simple. Life doesn't have to be a confrontation. Life can be a collaboration. I hear stories, office managers telling young dentists in corporations, I'll embellish it a little bit. You got to do that endo on tooth number 15 with a dilacerated root on the 300-pound gagger in 30 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a little embellished, a little, but unreasonable expectations. And of course, you know, there's your initial reaction is going to be resentment.
Mm-hmm.
The manager is going to be alpha mailing or alpha femaling the, you know, the whipping.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But there's a way around it. And let me give our listeners, maybe there's some young dentists out there who resonate with that story. Here's what we can do. Alanism number 32. I have 103 Alanisms. Anger, yeah, really. Show me a person without stress and I'll show you a cadaver. That's Alanism number 1. Isn't it
I
true?
love it. It is true.
But number 32 is anger is fear in disguise.
Oh, I
If
like
we-
that.
If we understand that, watch how we can apply it. And again, redirect me if I'm digressing, or just edit this thing out.
Yeah.
Or
Oh, trust me, there will be
small
very
clips.
little editing because I'm
Yeah,
digging this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll play the whole thing for my wife. An hour of me is going to be more than she can take at this point. But watch this. Watch this. Office manager says, Dr. Stern, you're not productive enough. You got to do a crown in 15 minutes or else.
Right.
And the initial reaction from our amygdala, our fight or flight,
Right.
is, I'm angry, damn it. Who the hell are you to speak to me like that?
Right.
Or I'm scared. What's she going to do?
Yeah.
How about this? How about this? Mary Manager, thank you for bringing that up. You must be under a ton of pressure to bring our numbers up, and I get that. My salary doesn't grow on trees, and neither does yours, and somebody's got to pay to keep the lights on. I get that. But here's the dilemma. I need to do work that you would trust me to do on your own mother. Why? Let's sit down with the owner doc or the upper management, and let's create a system together where maybe I could become more productive, maybe I could maintain the quality of my work, and maybe I could push myself a little bit if we can create a system. You think we could collaborate together rather than one against the other? Let's push the box together, and we'll make this place more profitable. Help me to help you.
You know, see, I love that. I love that because I've always felt that the secret to getting what you want is to figure out what the other person wants and figure out how you both get them together. Maybe you
Yeah.
both got to give a little bit, or maybe you're going in the same direction. But yeah, I mean that's beautiful because it's. I keep saying this, but it's true. I guess you've got a lot of truisms. You've got some Alanisms. You've got a lot of truisms because the first instinct when somebody does that kind of a thing is we all like, oh. And then the next time you walk in and she says, Dr. Stern, you're like, oh, here it comes.
Yep.
She's not catching me off guard this time.
Yep.
I am ready for it, and I'm gonna let them have it. You know,
Yep.
you popped me when my head was turned last time. This time I'm looking you right in the eye.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what happens? There's a winner and a loser. Mm-hmm. The winner pounds their chest.
Yep.
The loser goes back into their corner, sharpens their teeth, and sinks it into your leg deeper.
Yep.
Here's another one for you. Marty McNasty comes in. Marty McNasty, you saw him yesterday. My tooth didn't hurt until you started drilling it.
And these are the people, too, real quick. I want you to tell the story.
No, go, come on.
But
Bring it.
these are the people when you're sitting at your desk at the end of the day and you click on the next day's schedule and you see Marty McNasty at 10 o'clock, and at that moment your stomach flips.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and that whole night you're like, he's coming in tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Then you wake up and, okay, he's coming in 4 hours or whatever it is. But anyway,
Yep.
go ahead. So my tooth didn't hurt until you touched me.
Right. So at night, you see old McNasty's coming in. Mm-hmm. The initial reaction is heart in throat, blood pressure up, headache,
Yep.
and up all night. If you can cut that off before the cortisol starts flowing, and it's a serious mental discipline, approach it with curiosity. I wonder what Marty wants. Curiosity, number one. Number two, McNasty comes in at 8 o'clock in the morning, starts in this stuff, and you say, oh, Marty, I am so sorry. You've had, the toothache is like the worst, man. Did it keep you up at night? It kept me up all night long, Alan. Man, I've seen this a million times. It's awful. So I get it. So here's what I'd like to do. Get you out of pain is priority one. Are you open to that? Yeah. Okay, so Alice, the assistant, is going to take an x-ray. We'll see what's going on. I'll evaluate the tooth. We'll figure out why you're in pain, and we'll figure out how to get you out of pain. That's the next step. Okay? And then we'll figure out, after the dust settles, after you're out of pain, then we'll go ahead and figure out where we go from here. So the trick is, Dr. Christian Conti wrote a book.
Oh, yeah.
You know Conti's work?
I do.
Walking Through Anger. Right? And for those who don't know who Christian Conti is, he's a prison psychologist who works in supermax prisons. He treats the most violent, vile offenders the country and the world have seen. And he works with their prison guards. Talk about a challenge.
Oh my gosh.
But what Dr. Conti figured out was he's got something called yield theory.
Okay.
Let them drain their limbic system. If Marty McNasty comes in and he's screaming, tell me more, I need to hear this. Tell me more to keep you up at night. Tell me more. Oh, my wife is infuriated. Our newborn had her up all night and I'm screaming all night. Oh my goodness. That's horrible. You align with the person's problem. Christian Conti lets angry prisoners blow it all out. After they've drained their limbic system, after they've vented all of that cortisol, you'll finally get to the root of the problem. And when you can identify what that problem is and align with the patient and say, all right, our first priority is solve this problem, then we'll figure out everything else. You don't have to say, well, I followed standard of care, and if your mother had taught you how to use a toothbrush, this would never have happened, you imbecile. You want to think it, right?
Yeah, you do.
But we got a filter over here that we need to use. We got to think about what we can say that will cause something good to happen as a result of this discussion. So that align with the problem, get in lockstep with the patient. And as I said before, will it work all the time? No. This is human interaction. Nothing's perfect. But
right.
at the very least, you will know to the depth of your soul that you have done everything possible to solve this problem in the most positive way.
And it's all about the positivity. That's kind of the thing. You know, I've had doctors talk to me about tech, and they're like, oh, you know, I wanted to, I'll use digital x-ray because that was a big one back in the day.
Yeah.
But they're like, my assistants and my hygienists, you know, I bought digital x-ray and all they do is complain about it, that it's hard to use and, you know, blah, blah, blah. They can't use hemostats on it, the whole thing, you know. And I would always ask them, well, what did they say about it before you bought it? Well, I don't know. And one of the things that I found was if you're going to make like a major change in your systems, number one, there aren't a lot of flukeisms, but I do have a few. One of them is life is like orthodontics. If you apply gentle pressure over time, everything goes where you want. If you try and move the teeth in a weekend, nobody's happy.
I love that.
But, you know, so what I found was you're going to make a major change in your systems. Have a staff meeting. And before the staff meeting, tell your team, hey, dental assistants, I'm going to buy you guys lunch, go out to lunch. Somebody get a notepad. We're thinking of doing digital x-rays. Write down what you think is the good stuff about it, what you think is the bad stuff about it. Do the same with the hygiene team. If it applies to your business side of it, do the same thing with them. Then a week later, have a staff meeting and say, bring your little piece of paper with your pluses and minuses. Let's discuss. Because I'm thinking this is a good thing. Here's what I'm thinking, but you guys tell me what you're thinking. And I've always called it buy-in. Yeah. So if you can get everybody, well, you know, one of the dental assistants says, well, my friend says with a sensor you can't put hemostats on it, and I'm never going to be able to get a decent PA. And then, lo and behold, one of the hygienists said, well, in the office that I used to work in, we used that. And you can buy this x-ray holder for like $20. And it does the same thing. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, are you willing? I'll pop for the x-ray holder. Is that okay with you? Yeah, it's fine. Then when you bring it in, everybody's already said, yeah, it's okay with me. And it just makes it so much easier. A true story, Alan. Actually knew a guy, and this is probably why I chose digital X-ray, but he wanted to go digital. Every member of his team, it was a small office, but I think one hygienist, two dental assistants, nobody wanted it. He bought it, and over the weekend, he had it installed over the weekend, and he literally took the film processor out of the office and threw it in the dumpster. And everybody rolled in on Monday morning, and he was like, this is how we're doing it now. All three of them walked out.
Yeah.
And what did that solve in the big picture? It created a bigger problem than if you would have tried to get the buy-in.
Yeah, and that goes to leadership, John. I think our generation, we were raised on leadership that was top down, do as I'm told or else.
Yep.
That doesn't work anymore. And there was the pot was simmering until COVID. When COVID hit, that pot blew up. And
It's a great insight.
Yeah, very valuable leadership insight. Leadership does not mean I made the decision, you're going to follow me. Leadership means that we will listen to everything you say. We may not accept your suggestions, but we will consider single thing that is said in this office with the assumption that we are ladies and gentlemen talking to ladies and gentlemen, and that we have the best interest of the office and, yeah, our best interest as well in mind. And if we can come to that understanding and make our offices a safe place, we become so much better. Because I got to tell you, my favorite hygienist, who was with me for 17 of my 36 years in practice, she saw things that I could not see, and I would have done some pretty stupid things if Jess hadn't come along. My wife was my front desk person. You better believe I did what I was told there.
Yeah.
That would have been really stupid.
I was saying with good reason too.
Yeah, there's legal fees involved in that story.
Right.
But the assistant, I'll never forget. I'm doing a composite. I'm doing this MIDF, really aesthetic composite.
Yeah.
And I'm disking
And
it,
complicated.
finishing it, contouring it. Bzz, bzz,
Yeah.
bzz. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And my assistant from the left side said, "Hey, Dr. Stern, you got a rough spot on that incisal-lingual there." And my amygdala reaction was, who are you to criticize my work? And then I ran my Explorer over there just for fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's right. She saw something from an angle that I wasn't taking.
Yep.
And in front of the patient, I said, "Hey, thanks, Ryan, good eye." And I told the patient,
Yep.
"Ryan's got a good eye here. We're a team."
And I'll bet you she probably remembers that.
Yeah.
Because it was positive, it made her feel good. It made her feel like she was part of something, that she was helping, not just that she's holding the vacuum, for 6 hours and then takes a break.
And John, just to deepen that point a little bit,
Yeah.
if anybody thinks that I'm perfect, I want to dispel that right away. Because I've screwed it up so many times with assistants, with hygienists. They've screwed it up with me so many times. But please understand that what I'm talking about here are really exceptional moments that I've lived through, that I endeavor to rise to every single day. But if you think that I haven't screwed it up, you're wrong. And what you really need to do is be aware, but also forgive yourself. Give yourself a little grace for being a human being. If you take a post-op PA 6 months later of a crown you put in that you knew was perfect, and the crown ends here and the tooth begins here, or am I the only one that's happened to?
It might have happened to me once, or maybe it was a friend of mine. I'm not. Yeah.
You and Paul. It's only happened once. But you have to forgive yourself if you say the wrong thing to a team member, if you fly off the handle every now and then, or just become a little bit not what you would like to be.
Right.
You have to allow yourself and them to fall on your faces and pick one another up.
So let me ask you something, Alan, because I'm sure that there are a lot of doctors out there that have struggled with this, including me. One of the things that I try and preach to the younger doctors now is do your absolute best, do the best you can do, but don't spend the rest of your life worrying about it or being concerned about it. And here's the deal. I had a few cases in my life. All of them were different reasons, different personalities, but I would come home and I would think about them. And then there were times when I would go to bed and I'd wake up at midnight and I'd think about it for
You
a
too?
couple hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one day I went for a run. I ran for an hour and I got back to my house and I was walking around, cooling down. And it occurred to me, I've spent this entire run thinking about Mrs. Jones. I'd be willing to bet you that if I took all of that time on those cases and laid them, end to end, I probably spent months
Yep.
of my life, wasted months of my life that I can't get back, thinking about those things. I didn't solve a problem. I didn't make anything better. All I did was think about it, beat myself up, or worry.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody that's got that? Because my thing is, I don't ever want anybody else to do that. I've already done that and it doesn't work.
Well,
So
the sad reality is it's going to happen because our amygdala, I keep going back to that. My peak performance coach, the amazing Dr. Dana Ackley, taught me this. Our fight or flight instinct kicks in. Whoops, this camera's going to drive us nuts, John. Back and forth, back and forth.
that's okay.
That kicks in, and if we're not really sharp, it'll happen. But here's the trick. Here's the trick. First of all, accept that it's going to happen. Alanism number 4, emotions are like enemas. They are fleeting. Now, people younger than us may not get that, but you get it.
I get it.
So the bad emotion, the fear, the fear of God, the horror, the nightmare, it's like a thunderstorm. It's going to pass. Embrace the suck. Understand that this is part of life. Live it and know it's going to pass. Conversely, those beautiful moments when you seat that full mouth rehab or even that beautiful central incisor that matches, if you're stupid enough to you do a single central incisor.
Right.
You got to celebrate that too. Celebrate the composite, the one surface composite with barely into dent and caries that the patient, it's just, I went to the doc, he did a filling, yeah, so what, he charged me $250 for that. You save that person a trip to the friendly endodontist. You've got to celebrate that. And ask yourself, instead of being a dentist or a dental student at the end of the day, be a human being. And ask yourself one question at the end of the day that supersedes everything. The question is, John, did I make somebody's life better today?
It's beautiful.
Because you did. I don't care if you had a iatrogenic exposure of a pulp, of a high pulp horn on tooth number 19, or if you underfilled or overfilled the endo, or if you took an impression 12 times or did a scan and you couldn't get the daggone thing. Somewhere during that day, somebody's life was better because they were in your presence.
And
Live that way.
Yes. Because I think the other thing that we get hung up on is, I think loneliness is where the bad stuff shows up.
Yeah.
And I think at least for me, what would happen was I would have one of those days or one of those crowns, and I would think, I'm the only one. I'm
Yeah,
the
right.
only one that could have been dumb enough to have hit that high pole porn
Yeah.
or to have seeded that crown with an open margin that I didn't notice. Those kind of things. And what I think helps to know is I read this article one time. It was actually kind of funny, but it was like statistics that you would never believe are true. And one of them was 300 people a year are killed by falling coconuts. And you would think, if you were, even if it didn't kill you, if you were in Tahiti or wherever and you walk along and a coconut hit you on the head, you'd think, I got to be the only one stupid enough to have walked under this tree and gotten. But in reality, it's happened before, and it's happened to other people.
Yeah, there are things that happen in life. And, I used to tell people, just be a little bit better tomorrow than you were yesterday. And that may not even be true. I've gone into the office, I hadn't slept well, or something in my personal life didn't go right, and I just wasn't right. I remember canceling a full upper arch case same day because I couldn't sleep the night before. Did I lose production? You bet I did. But something else I didn't lose was a patient's confidence and trust that I just wasn't my best self. So I dingleberried along the day doing hygiene checks and little composites and little things that I knew I could handle. I rescheduled the full arch case, got it done, but there's no way I was going to go, mining a person's mouth, tearing it apart and trying to put it back together again on 2 hours sleep. That's just dumb.
Yeah. No, I love that. The bravery to do that.
Yeah.
And not feel caught like I'm trapped, which is another stress inducer. I've got to keep this, this job at this office because I've got a mortgage to pay or whatever. I've got to seat this crown because, for a myriad of reasons.
Yeah. Would I put that crown in, or would I start that procedure on my mother?
Yeah.
That's the question right there.
Yeah.
So, just get off of the perfection trap, get off of the I must do it or else, and get into, I am going to step into this office and a batch of people's lives are going to be better because they were with me today. The assistant, the administrator, the hygienist, the patient, the UPS guy, the mailman, the FedEx guy, the janitor. Live to make somebody's life better. And you have the power to do that every single day.
I had a patient. She's been with me a long time. And we had a situation happen where something went wrong. I was like, I don't know what happened, but it's on me. And it was funny, she was so impressed with the fact that I said, you know what? I probably didn't do the best I could.
Mm-hmm.
She was so happy, she couldn't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt I owed it to her.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, right?
We all make mistakes, and we all think that, oh my God, if we redo this, we're going to lose money. The patient's going to think this and that. But really, at the end of the day, it's what you think.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you will get paid. You will get paid a sum of money that's commensurate with what you have given. And I think the things you have to know are, what is your BAM, your bare ass minimum? How much more do you want? And this, if you're married, you discuss it with your spouse.
Yep.
You discuss it with your financial advisor. And then you think about what you need to do in order to get that. And then, are you willing and are you able to do that? I was not willing to do certain things. I know a guy who does all on X's, like I do. I did class 1 composites.
Right.
The guy is brilliantly talented, and he's a workhorse. He does it, and he earns a ton of money. And it's not that he's better than I am, he's different than I am. And I'm just as happy as he is, or I learned to be just as happy as he is once I understood that. I
You
am
know,
I am who I am and I am where I am and I'm very comfortable with all that.
it's a great baseball story. So I'm a
I
big,
love the baseball.
thank you.
By the way, before you go into this, I'll just
Yeah.
you're in Kansas City.
Yes.
I'm a Yankee fan, so
Oh,
I'll just remind you, sir, that we're not perfect in everything we do. Even Aaron Judge, arguably the best player in baseball, or one of the top
right.
two,
Right.
only is successful 34% of the time.
No, that's a great point. It's a
Yeah.
great point.
Back to baseball. So
Well,
Yankees rock. Thank you. Go on.
so I always say I've lived in Kansas City my whole life, and I know some Yankees fans, and I always tell people you couldn't have grown up when I grew up in Kansas City, suffered through the late 70s heartbreaks every season of the Yankees, and then still root for them. So that's my excuse. But there was a guy that played for the Royals a while, about 20 years ago, named Bill Pecota, and he was a bench guy. He was a utility infielder. He would fill in, and one day, it's a tie game, is bottom of the ninth. He puts a suicide squeeze down. The runner, I mean, perfect bunt. The runner scores. After the game, they were interviewing him, and the guy said, "You know, Bill," he said, "that bunt." He's like, "You just do the little things well." And Pagoda laughed and he said, "I have to. I don't do any of the big things well."
Yeah. Sounds like a Bob Euchre line.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's so true though. You don't have to be in any profession. You don't have to be the superstar. You just find your core competency, do that, and then just do that. It's not,
Yeah.
you know.
There's guys who are doing very nicely doing what is referred to as bread and butter dentistry. I know a young dentist out in Michigan. He's very proud. He does dental school dentistry and he refers everything else out. And he does very well. What's very well? I don't know and I don't care. The guy's happy.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. So let me ask you this. Now in this phase of your life, do you consider yourself like a consultant or a coach, or what kind of title would you give to yourself with what you do?
Coach,
Okay.
speaker, author, columnist, whatever Paul Feuerstein asks me to do, I do. And I say, yes, sir, Paul. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
You talk about a great guy to work with.
Oh, he's
Holy
incredible.
no.
And I was at the Greater New York meeting a few years ago, and I was doing a book signing there for Care Credit. And Paul, everybody knows who Paul is, if
Oh
only
yeah,
because of his unique appearance, his distinctive appearance.
true.
And he comes up to me. He goes, "Hi, I'm Paul Feuerstein." I said, "I know who you are." He said, "I've been meaning to talk to you." Me? Me? He said, "Yeah." And one thing led to another. We started talking, and I'm writing every month for Dentistry Today. In fact, I'm giving him more stuff than he can keep up with now. But
That's good. It's a good problem for him to have.
yeah, I speak. I've got some great programs now that are catching fire, and I'm going into a lot of states now. And I'm having so much fun with that. And coaching, I will coach individuals. I have a group coaching, a coaching group. We meet, and man, I just listen and I share my experience, and I guide these people just using my two most important instruments and my almost 6 dozen and 1 years of experience. And I'm like a little boy. I wake up some mornings, John, and I say, "What are you doing, man? You're 72 years old. Just kick back." And I come into my desk. I sit here. I'm alive. This is what I am here to do.
And
And
this is the thing of do what you love
yep.
and you never work. I think as I've progressed, when I was a kid, I don't hear the term as much anymore, but they used to say, "Oh, the wisdom of age." And really, truly, what I think it is it's the wisdom of mistakes.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you're around a long time, you've just got time to make more mistakes. But the first time we do anything, you make a mistake, almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the wisdom.
Yeah.
And then I think the passion that you have is, if you were 35 years old and you took a table knife and stuck it in the electrical socket and your arm flew back over your head, and somebody comes to you and they say, "Hey, I'm going to take this knife. I'm thinking about sticking it in that slot."
Exactly.
You can say, "No, I did that. That's a mistake. Don't do that."
Exactly. And, I've learned so much, not only of what not to do, but what to do.
Yes.
And man, I just, sometimes I don't even know where I got this knowledge from. I read a lot. There are about half a dozen people I can say I wouldn't be me if it weren't for them. The Pankey Institute, Mary Osborne, Joan Unterschutz, my business and speaking coaches, Mark LeBlanc and Margie Schaller, and of course my wife. You accumulate wisdom along the way, and you have no idea how much experience you're getting when you're in the moment. But now
Yes.
I look back, and there are people much smarter than me who are asking me things. And how did it happen? I don't know, but I appreciate it. I love it. And I'm going to use it every day. I could walk, talk, think. Why not?
I mean, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to know that you're helping people. With dentistry, I don't care if you're the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation or if you're, a brand new dental assistant. It's your second day in the profession. You weren't even trained. You're doing on-the-job training, but everybody works for the patient. And making lives better, like you said, changing somebody's life in one little thing. It's the old thing of dropping a pebble in a lake and you don't know where the waves go.
Exactly.
But
Exactly. And
yeah,
one more for everybody out there, John.
please.
A lot of times we think we work for somebody or somebody works for us. You know as well as I do, they work with us.
Mm-hmm.
What do we work for? We work for the mission of the office, whatever that might be. So if you've written a mission, and if you've shared that writing with your team, and you all put it together and you all own it, of course the owner of the office is going to be the team leader, and the values have to be the owner's values, and they have to be shared by the team. But if you all compose a mission, and you know what it is, that's what you're working for. You're not working for Dr. Stern or Dr. Fluke. The assistant doesn't work for me. The assistant, the hygienist, the administrator, etc., work with me to accomplish the mission of the office. That
That's
brings us
beautiful.
all fulfillment.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the witching hour here for the podcast, but I want to tell a quick story, and then I want to get your take on this, and then we'll wrap it up. But I think it was 2000 or 2001, I remember reading this article about Bill Gates. And at that point in time, Microsoft had incorporated their browser called Internet Explorer. They'd made it part of Windows. And they were under a lawsuit from the SEC, and there was just havoc at Microsoft about it. And his quote was, "I hate my job. I hate my life. I hate my situation. I don't know what to do." And the day he said that, he was worth $98 billion. At that point in time in history, the closest person to him, I believe, was Warren Buffett, who I think he was worth $40 billion. So Bill could have bought Warren Buffett and had $58 billion left. And yet he hated his job, he hated his life, he hated his situation. So on the younger dentist, or maybe even the dentist that's been at this a while, and they're looking and they're like, I've got to earn more, I've got to earn more, there's got to be, what would you say to them?
First thing I would say is you don't have to earn more. You want to earn more. Big difference. Big difference. What do you want? And can you repurpose yourself? I tell a lot of young dentists to go back to their personal statement in a dental school application. Why'd you want to be a dentist? Compare yourself now to then, and are you living your why? And if so, great. And if not, you either alter your why or you course change back to the why. Number two, it's not about the dentistry, it's about the people. We said earlier, Mary Jones is coming in. Mary Jones is somebody's mother, sister, daughter, cousin, friend, aunt. Aunt, wait a minute, I'm from New Jersey, aunt.
Actually, I'd say aunt, so it's totally cool.
Well, fine, you're also a Royals fan and I'm a Yankees fan. Get over it. But understand that the true reward of this profession is people. And reconnect with that. Reconnect. Brene Brown says man has an irreducible need for love and belonging. Create that sense of love and belonging in your office, in your operatory, for yourself and for everybody around you. If all else fails, if you just are still miserable, talk to a coach, talk to a therapist, really evaluate it very carefully. And if you feel like you want to leave the profession, which I hope you don't, then there are ways to do that. There are people who can help you doing that. But remember this. This is a profession, it's not an industry. You are not a provider. That's a disgusting, filthy word. It demeans and diminishes the value of somebody who has given how many dollars in debt and how many years, youthful, productive, vibrant years, to take on a responsibility that's enormous, including continuing ed the rest of your life.
Right.
Mike Schuster taught me that one. A dental license is just a certificate to take continuing ed.
Yep.
So I think you need to begin to love and respect yourself for what you are. Get the word provider out of your vocab. Think of yourself as a doctor, a clinician, a practitioner, a healer. You are all of that. And I'm talking to you hygienists also. And connect with your value. Know that you are special. And there are very few opportunities in this world that give you the power to do great things than the dental profession. And
Wow, that's well said.
don't allow anybody to take that dignity, respect, care, skill, judgment, leadership, and influence out of your hands.
Wow, that's beautiful.
That's my position. I'm sticking to it. Vote for me and I'll set you free.
The passion is contagious.
I learned this the hard way, and John, I'm living this every day of my life now.
Man, I salute you. It's beautiful stuff.
Thank you,
How
John.
can people find you? People are wanting to either read you, or they want to buy a book, or they want to have you coach. How do they get a hold of you?
My Facebook group is called Better, Richer, Stronger. Best way to find me is message me through Facebook, Dr. Alan
Okay.
Stern, or join my Facebook group. My email address is alan@betterricherstronger.com. I will have a virtual coffee with anybody for 30 minutes. I'll listen. I won't ask for money. I won't ask you to buy anything. I just want to listen and give you some guidance. I want to take this profession back for you and for those we serve.
Love it. And you made a joke about it, but truly, your book is on Amazon, right?
Yes, it is. It's called
Hold
Enjoy
it up
the Ride.
again, please, just to so
Called
enjoy the ride. Yeah.
And it's available on Amazon. It is my story. It's a very easy read. And I am told I've not heard one unquestionably good thing about it, which I'm not bragging. Yeah, I am bragging. Okay, I'm bragging. I'm over it.
It's okay.
I'm very proud of it, and I'm very proud to. My story is very deep. There's a lot to it. I've been through a lot of adversity, and I turned that adversity not only into my friend, but into a force for good for this profession. And that's what I'm going to do for as long as I can sit here and run my mouth.
Well, Alan, thank you.
Thank
It has
you.
been great. Everybody, you know how to find him. You know what kind of a guy he is because he and I just had the virtual cup of coffee for an hour. So thank
It's more
you.
like a tank of coffee.
One of those big carafe
Yeah, there
things
you go.
with a spout. So this is the Technology Evangelist Podcast. I'm Dr. John Fluke. We are sponsored by Medidenta. You can find them at medidenta.com. They make a lot of great stuff. They sell rodent resins and 3D printers and all kinds of hygiene products, all kinds of stuff. Check them out. This is it for this time, folks. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe because I'm a slave to the algorithm. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Bye.